Welcome to our channel. Today, we're talking about Chris Rock's new stand-up special and his decision to work with Netflix. With his signature blend of humor and social commentary, Rock is sure to deliver a powerful and thought-provoking performance that will leave audiences talking for days. In this video, we'll explore the reasons behind Rock's decision to work with Netflix, what audiences can expect from his new special, and why this is a must-watch event for anyone interested in comedy and current events. So sit back, relax, and get ready for an insightful and entertaining discussion about one of the most anticipated comedy events of the year. The 94th Academy Awards surprised the crowd when Will Smith and Chris Rock spontaneously fought on stage. Chris Rock cracked a joke about his wife, actor Jada Pinkett Smith, as he walked the Oscars stage to accept the prize for Best Documentary. Will began to chuckle, but Jada was spotted rolling her eyes. Will then stepped up to the stage and smacked Chris in the face. Both Javier Bardem and his spouse received nominations. Rock began his essay by saying, "Now, if she loses, he can't win. He is praying that Will Smith wins, like please, Lord. I adore you, Jada. I'm eager to see G.I. Jane 2, all right?" After a muted reaction, Rock commented, "That was a nice one." Jada has previously spoken out about receiving a diagnosis of alopecia, a disorder that causes hair loss. After initially discussing it in 2018, she had since spoken out on social media about the difficulties she faces as a result of the disease. She claimed that after large clumps of her hair emerged in the shower, she made the decision to shorten it. "I was so terrified at the time that I was practically shivering," she stated. "I continue to trim my hair because of this." Bald patches and hair loss are both effects of an autoimmune illness on the hair follicles. After a brief period of silence in the auditorium as a result of Will slapping Chris, Will returned to his seat and yelled, "Keep my wife's name out of your fucking mouth." Will didn't have a microphone, yet his voice was still heard. Chris concluded the conversation by declaring, "It was the greatest night in television history." Will soon after won his first Oscar. For his work in King Richard, he received the Best Actor award. Will apologized to the Academy in his acceptance speech and discussed the value of family in his life. "I want to apologize to the Academy and to all my fellow nominees," he said. "Life imitates art, and I resemble the insane father. You will do crazy things out of love." In the movie, Will portrays Richard Williams, the father of tennis players Serena and Venus Williams. "Richard Williams was a staunch defender of his family," he continued. "At this point in my life, I am overwhelmed with what God calls me to do and be in this world. I got to defend Anjani Ellis, who is one of the toughest and most gentle women I've ever met, while making this video. I had to safeguard Sania and Demi, the actors who played Venus and Serena. In my life, I'm being called to love people, defend people, and be a river for my people. I understand that in order to perform what we do, you must be able to take abuse. You must be able to make others rave about you. You have to be able to put up with people disrespecting you in this business. Then you have to grin and seem as if everything is fine." Now Chris Rock is going live with a new Netflix special a week before the Oscars. Spent the past year on tour and working out material on the infamous Oscar slap. Mr. Rock's only platform was the stage he commands. The comedian has spent the last year on a practically constant tour of arenas and theaters, where he progressively put out a barrage of gags about Mr. Smith assaulting him. Mr. Rock is likely to go wide with his take on the slap in the March 4 Netflix special. It's the first live event ever presented to the streamer's 231 million global users, beginning at 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Mr. Rock is thus a test pilot for new technology on the site, as well as a push towards event programming by the firm that taught us to devour stuff on our own timetable. Watching live on Netflix represents a significant shift in the relationship we have with our subscribers, said Robbie Pra, Netflix's vice president of stand-up and comedic formats. According to the streamer, he enlisted the help of a performer on the Mount Rushmore of comedy to create a mass moment that will elicit emotions from viewers in real time. Together with that broadcast, Mr. Rock's special has the potential to complete the loop on a very weird period in pop culture, one that has become a rolling case study of how unsavory celebrity behavior is digested in public. Rock has created a rare occurrence by conserving his weaponry for Netflix, a stand-up special with a timely hook. How it lands may determine if he is able to recast the episode that changed the course of his 4-decade career in an instant. Preparation for the show may have had another function for Mr. Rock. According to fellow comedian George Wallace, "You're never going to forget who slapped the heck out of you, but laughter is good for the soul," and that's exactly what he's getting up there. Mr. Wallace, who has a story about how the slap turned him against all Smiths, said, and in the long term, he's also getting rewarded for it. Mr. Rock's performance at Baltimore's Hippodrome Theater will be captured by Netflix. Selective outrage, the title of the live special, is a phrase he has riffed on in connection to Mr. Smith in previous performances. These episodes included segments about the men's size differential, his reasoning for not retaliating at the moment, and what he believes caused the slap. It's unknown how much of this material will be used in Mr. Rock's hour-long program. This storm of jokes accounted for only about 5 minutes of his recent gigs, yet it received the most laughter and cheers from both audiences. Mr. Rock related that information to both local and distant dating habits of women of different ages. Don't expect him to disclose introspective gleanings from a therapist's office in his live stream observations. Chris is a fantastic commentator. That is why pundits will refer to and quote his statements. But that's not the same as him expressing his darkest thoughts. He's not like that, said Noam Dworman, owner of the Comedy Cellar in New York City, Mr. Rock's home base, where he works on the material, including at drop-ins over the past year. The slap and subsequent wave of publicity occurred just as Mr. Rock was about to embark on one of his busiest tours ever. Before the Oscars, he announced an 8-month tour called the Ego Death Tour, as well as a handful of co-headlining dates with Kevin Hart. In December and January, a series of collaborative performances with Dave Chappelle would take place. According to those engaged in Mr. Rock's plans, the incident at the Oscars did not upset the timeline he had already planned. He has done over 100 gigs since March of last year, including dates in England, Germany, Australia, and New Zealand. According to data given to music trade outlet Polestar, his solo gigs averaged $700,000 in ticket sales per night. He last spent that much time on the road in 2017 in preparation for his first Netflix special, Tamborine. Mr. Rock was slow to provide his own perspective on a topic that everyone else was discussing last year. He told a boisterous crowd 3 nights after the Oscars at a gig at Boston's Wilbur Theater that he was sticking to the routine he had prepared, adding, "I'm still kind of processing what happened." He became more involved in May after a friend was assaulted during a stand-up show. Mr. Chappelle was tackled by a man armed with a knife at the Hollywood Bowl. Following that, Mr. Rock appeared on stage and playfully asked if the attacker was Mr. Smith. According to a story from the surprise appearance, he and Mr. Chappelle compared their experiences while bantering for an audience at an LA comedy club a couple of nights later. The show is the second of 2 comedy specials that Mr. Rock committed to when he joined Netflix in 2016. That $40 million pact was Netflix's first, with a top comic as the company expanded into stand-up programming, a market historically controlled by HBO and other networks. Netflix's live special follows the streamer's first in-person comedy festival in Los Angeles. The 11-day Netflix is a joke event featured 336 comedians at 35 venues, including Gabriel Iglesias at Dodger Stadium. Most stand-up specials are created by compiling footage from many performances and editing it to emphasize the finest joke deliveries and audience reactions. Mr. Rock's live special will be more like seeing the comedian perform on a particular night on tour, where his act changes from show to show. He'll perform in front of 13 cameras, which will be overseen by Joel Gallen, a veteran of broadcast concerts, comedy specials, and roasts, who also directed Mr. Rock's 2004 HBO special, Never Afraid. A half hour before Mr. Rock's show, Ronnie Ching will host a lineup of comics at the Comedy Store in Los Angeles. Mr. Rock's set will be followed by a wrap-up show hosted by David Spade and Dana Carvey, with guests including Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Mr. Pra of Netflix said the decision to release Selective Outrage so close to the Oscars was purely coincidental. Chris Rock's decision to work with Netflix for his new stand-up special is driven by his desire to reach a wider audience and address important social and political issues. His new special is sure to generate a lot of buzz and spark meaningful discussions, making it a must-watch for anyone interested in comedy and current events. Don't miss out on this thought-provoking and entertaining performance. This is all you need to know about the upcoming Chris Rock. Stay tuned to not miss out on any. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Until then, stay safe.